You're listening to the Three Ropes Podcast with Scott Fineout. On the HTW Network.
Jim Holbert, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on my show here.
What's going on, man? How you been?
Hey, it's been a long time, man. Not so much long for me and you. Me and you have seen each other through this pandemic, but in terms of seeing each other around a wrestling ring, it's been quite a time lapse here for us.
Yeah.
But I do want to start off by congratulating you. You might be the newest promoter still in New York, but but congratulations, man. I know it's been a hell of a journey. What's that journey been like?
It's been a process. It really has. All the stuff you got to go through, getting the bonds, the filling out all the paperwork. Luckily, being PA, I get to, I already know the head guy, Greg Serb, really good guy to work with. He's been a great help throughout this whole process. I can't thank him enough. The emails telling me, what I need to, what papers I need to submit, what time frames, the COVID paperwork that we still have to use for a little bit longer here. Thankfully this seems like it's starting to come to an end, and I know in PA a lot more shows are going on, so it's starting to get around again. And I miss our once a month thing that we had going on, where we would go to PPW. Me and you'd go out and get a hotel room, hang out for the night, and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
The legend of Fineout Scott would be revealed, right? How has that been, getting a license in COVID? Has it been different? Has it been, have people been like, well, just hold off? Or was the state receptive of taking new applications in at this time? Or was it just kind of the run of the mill? They didn't really treat it any different?
Well, I don't think they treated it any different. Honestly. It was an easy process. Like I said, Serb was great throughout the whole process, told me how to do everything, what I needed to do. And it's like I said, you got to go through getting a bond, and you got to get the background check done and all that stuff. Make sure, you're not into any freaky stuff and doing, out there, killing people or done anything like that. But I mean, it's a process. It really is. And, it was, a little less, money wise than we thought it was for a year, but I mean, still, we got it done. We were one of the only places that was running during in the beginning of the pandemic. I shouldn't say really the beginning, because we had actually, right before this whole thing, we had just wrapped up in Philly and Towanda that weekend of the end of February, early March. And 2 weeks later, that's when, the whole world shut down. And I'd say August, September, October, Serb said we could do some outside shows. We were obviously limited at how many people we could have. So we did, but once it got cold, we shut it down. January, we were told that we could have 60 people in the gym that we were going to be running in Scranton. So we decided to, go about that. And actually the day before, he upped it to 75. And trust me, we got all 75 of those people in there.
better of, right? You got that long of a thing. Did you feel any pressure coming back? I mean, you were one of the first wrestling companies to come back from this. And in my mind, I think you were the first. Was there any pressure to maybe hold a really good show, a better show than usual? Or was there any pressure to maybe keep everybody safe and distance, so to speak? What was that like running a show in terms of maybe the differences? What I should say is, what's the differences between running a show in the pandemic and running a show in normal times? I guess
normal times, everything's free, everything's open, everybody can go, come around, go around, stuff like that. In the pandemic, it's kind of, masks on, try to social distance, keep try to keep everybody safe, obviously, is the number one goal. And it was pretty easy with the outside events that we were doing in September and October. In January, February, obviously it was a little harder because it was colder out inside. But I think in February, when we did our show in Scranton, it really hit that people were ready to get out. People were ready to get out of the house. and come to shows, and it really showed. I mean, you know, like I said, we had 75 people in that building, and we had to turn away maybe 15 people. You know what I mean? Because of guidelines, and you know,
Right.
we really got to be careful with the guidelines in PA. Now, like I said, with everything starting to open back up, you know, New York today is, you know, masks are going away if you're vaccinated, stuff, you know,
Yep.
everything's starting to reopen. And by the end of the month, we were told in PA, everything should be pretty much back open to normal. I'm sure they'll still have you wear masks, and they'll still have to do temperature checks and stuff like that. I think the temperature check thing is something that'll be around for a while. I really do, just to be on the safe side.
Sure.
But it honestly, it wasn't too hard to get talent. Again, everybody was ready to get back in the ring. Everybody was ready to do what they love to do, and that's been a godsend throughout this pandemic. I mean, a lot of these guys are donating their time, driving 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours each way just to come and do a 10, 12-minute match.
Yeah, you know, you make a good point. It almost feels right like you went from throwing shows on a Saturday where, you know, some people were available, but some people were booked, to maybe like it almost felt maybe in the pandemic like you were booking a show on a Wednesday where it's like whoever you want. You know what I mean? It's completely wide open. Everybody is willing to come into a different area or drive a little further just to get some ring time in. So that's got to be a different feeling, a good feeling in terms of, okay, look, we kind of have our hand picked here because no one else is competing for spots like you would on a normal weekend. I mean, you know, you talk about wrestling getting back together or getting, back to normal, and people are able to come. You're going to have a little bit of different companies that are running shows every week, competing for talent. So that's a real difference there. I'd ever thought about. That's a real a strength, a good thing to take from this.
But I mean, everything has really started to become more lax. Our show that we had a couple weekends ago in Y Sox was an outdoor event, so we didn't really push the mask thing. Right. Some people wore their masks, but I mean, we didn't really push the issue because I do know a lot of our fans that are vaccinated. There, a lot of them, especially in Y Sox, or you know, that came to the show, work for the fire department or the EMS or something like that. You know, where they are vaccinated for that job. You know, so I do know that, and you know, and the fans that weren't, I did see a lot. Like I said, there were people that still wore masks. You know, just to be respectful. I still wear a mask, even in the ring now. I have started to become more lax with it, you know, having it down. But when I'm around a group of people, I do still try to keep it up. I haven't had COVID that I'm aware of. I think I might have in the beginning of it when I lost my voice for that month, that last January. But I mean, I'm fine.
I ask all about this because I think you guys have handled this very well. I think that you guys have done shows when necessarily, to be honest, frankly, I didn't know if you guys should be doing shows, but you're doing shows and I don't know everything. So I was proven wrong. Nobody got sick. Everybody was socially distanced. Everybody was responsible. So I bring this up because a lot of people will say, oh, well, don't ever run a show. That's awful. Well, if you do it the right way and you do it socially distancing and you do it responsibly with the state, you can do shows. Yeah, and I think that's a really good testament to you guys. I think you handled that perfectly.
And like I said, Sir's been great throughout this. You know, like any questions we have, we can ask him. And of course we have, you know, as well as we have Gino Caruso to help us out. He's been helping us out more through this process of me getting my license. He was a huge help as well, you know, and he's been around for 30 plus years doing this thing. So, you know, he knows the ins and outs and everything else. And, you know, it's good to have the backing and the help from these guys, especially Serb, you know, because he's the guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the end all be all, the one that's going to decide if you can do it or not. Yeah.
Obviously, you know, he hasn't stopped us from doing shows yet. So obviously we're doing what needs to be done.
No, I think you guys are knocking out of the park, quite frankly. I think you guys have done a very good and very responsible job of handling the crowd there and handling your wrestler safety there. So I think that definitely needs to be said. You guys did a great job. Now, let's not make this whole interview about COVID. Let's talk about how you got into wrestling. What was the first time that you had realized, because we're from the same town, we're from Binghamton. You're from Johnson City, whatever. But
same thing, yeah.
but people are going, no, Jim says Johnson City, it's not right. But we're from the Triple Cities here. When was the first time that you had heard about independent wrestling being in the area? And what was your reaction? Were you let me get into it, or were you let me go see it?
I think I was just blind to it, honestly. I was working at IBM, so I was working a lot. I was doing the truck driver thing. You remember when I was, right about the end of that, when you first came in, I just finished working that job.
Yep.
That's how I got to become the ring truck driver.
Lucky you.
For 3DW. But anyway, we'll get to that. But it was, we were watching Impact, and Brent, my son Buddy, he's a big Impact guy, loved Impact. And there was a commercial on that 2CW was coming to the Great American Legion Post 80, and they were bringing Brent's favorite wrestler at the time, Alex Shelley, the Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh yeah.
And it happened to be the day before Brent's birthday. So we got tickets, and we had a blast. I had never knew anything about indie wrestling until that night.
Yeah, I was blind to it as well. I remember the first show. I don't know why. I know I'm wrong, obviously, because of what you just said. But I always have you as the first match being at the Polar Cap, and I don't know why. It's the first time I found out about wrestling. I didn't go to the show, but I heard that Jimmy Snuka was down at the Polar Cap Wrestling, and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah. You gotta see this stuff." And I don't know what it was. I think I was just lazy and I didn't go. But I should have went. But that was a time during ECPW, if I recall correctly. And I can't even recall because I wasn't there, but I would think I'm right that it was an ECPW show.
It was ECPW.
Now
I was still the sign guy.
Yes, explain. Talk about that a little bit. You used to bring signs to these shows, did you not?
Yes, I did. I used to love it. I was a big supporter of bringing fans or signs to the shows. At first I started writing them before the shows. I mean, it was a thing from back going to WWE shows, and WCW shows and stuff like that. I mean, I was always the one that brought the signs.
You were that asshole.
Yeah, I was that asshole. Yeah. Yes. I do have a quick story. I did have I hate Chris Benoit sign. Benoit was wrestling. We were sitting front row, me and my cousin, and his belt literally fell on my shoe. I went to go grab it. He goes, "Don't touch my fucking belt." Okay. But it's just something I love to do. I've always liked to bring signs and show my support. And it got to the point where I literally started writing the signs at the shows. Like if something would happen. Who was it? Creeper. You remember Creeper from ECW.
Of course.
He was a referee at one of the first shows I went to. And I thought he was drunk. I literally, by looking at him, thought he was drunk. So I wrote a sign that said, "This ref is drunk." And honestly, we became friends. We're still friends to this day, But
That's so funny.
Yeah, I used to love bringing the signs. That was a lot of fun.
So when did you get into wrestling? Like, what was your interest? Where was it peaked? How did you make that move from one side of the guardrail to the other?
Like I said, we went to that 2CW show. And then a couple weeks later, I had saw a sign somewhere around town in JC. I was riding the bus, and I saw a sign, and I saw a name called Cage. And I looked at the sign, and I'm like, that really looks like a friend that I grew up with and through school, Chuck. So I ended up running into Chuck one day, playing football on Sundays. I used to play flag football with the guys on Sundays at Otsningle Park.
Yep.
And ran into him one day, and I said, "Hey, I saw this poster. So this guy named Cage looks. He goes, "Yep, that's me." I said, "Really?" I said, "Oh, I just went to my first indie show at 2CW." I said, "We had a blast." "Oh, well, come on out. Come on out." I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, cool." So we go out, and that's where we met Spike Norton, our late friend. I met him. He was one of the first guys I met from there.
Oh, what an introduction that is, huh?
And well, what had happened was, he used to wear those farmer's gloves.
Yes.
And he went to toss them to his girlfriend. Well, one landed in Buddy's lap, and Buddy thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So at the end of the show, he was like, "Well, that's kind of my only pair. I'm not trying to be mean." So I looked at him and I said, "Hey, man, look," I said, "I get those gloves at work. We get them 10 packs at work. I'm like, I'll grab you a couple and I'll bring them to you." And he, "Okay, cool." No, made Buddy's night. You know what I mean? He was
awesome.
9, 10 years old back then. So I mean, that made his night. So Shannon, who was there, my wife, was talking with Spike's girlfriend, and she had said, "Well, yeah, Jim had always said he'd always wanted to do something like this when he was, younger." At the time, I think I was in my 30s, so I obviously wasn't going to try to be a wrestler. But I mean, right. I'd always honestly wanted to be a manager, so I'm like, all right, well, So he introduced me to Keith Zimmer, and at first Keith kind of just blew me off, like, whatever. You know what I mean? He told me, he admitted it to me, and I was just like, okay, well, at the time I was still going to their shows. I was still going to 2CW shows. And then it was I'd say right about 6 months before they started 3DW. I started, like hounding them again, like, "Hey, I really want to do this. I'm interested. I think I could really bring something to this." And so finally it was okay, so I started doing ring crew with Brendan, Spike Norton, and Sean Carr. So they were the ones that showed me how to put together and take apart the ring, and at the time carry it up those stairs to Rexer's upstairs from Rexer's.
What a good time.
So that that was my introduction, and I did it. I worked security at the door, helped out in those ways. And then after a couple months, Keith came up to me and he said, "Okay, I see you really want to do this. So we're getting ready to start this company called 3DW, and when we start, we'll start your training." Well, at that point in time, I'd already been training with another longtime friend, Chad Jackson, Rotmare, at the school that they had up above Rexer's. Chad would go there and I'd go there, and he would slam me and clothesline me and stuff like that, just to get me used to the bumping and stuff. Because even as a manager, there's times you got to take bumps.
Yeah, there is.
I wanted to make sure I was going to do it. I was doing it right. You know what I mean? And,
correct.
And I think that's what everybody saw, was I was taking the whole process of this seriously.
It wasn't Rexer's a crazy spot. I mean, when you look at what it is today, it's like this little. I mean, I haven't been to Anaconda in a little bit. I hope it's still like this today, where there was like this little bodega, and you're walking in there, and it looks nice. It's whatever, and you're like, you do like a 360. You're like, how the fuck did they fit a ring in this building?
How did we put our ring in there exactly? I
don't know how that happened. If it there was a couple people punching walls in there, but honestly, 3DW, I think was one of the best times I had in wrestling, and it was because of that fucking school, man. A lot of wrestling schools, or a lot of wrestling companies, they try to put together schools, and they think, okay, this is going to be a cool place where we can train and then we can get new talent and blah, blah, blah. But for 3DW, sure, it was that. But it was more, to me, coming into the business, and it might not be like this for anybody else, but for me, it was more like a clubhouse where it's like you can go down there every Tuesday or Thursday, and there's guaranteed to be people there. And there's a lot of people there because a lot of people were local to Binghamton. I mean, Binghamton had this wrestling scene and still does, to where there's a lot of fucking people that come from wrestling from Binghamton, and I never thought that growing up, but I always thought that was a cool little clubhouse to go to, so to speak, where everybody was learning, everybody was positive, everybody was promoting and doing promos. It was a special time in the business for me, and I thought that the school served as like the central hub that I've never seen another promotion do. To this day, I haven't. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't been a part of it where you could just show up on a Tuesday or Thursday after work and there's a bunch of freaking wrestling people bumping around in a gym. You know what I mean? It's insane. So how did you, so you started with security, and Keith started seeing that you were being a little bit more serious about it, and your head was in the right spot. What was the first position that you had talked about getting into?
We were talking about me becoming a manager. And at the time he asked me who I would like to manage, and I and everybody's obviously thinking, oh, Sean Carr. No, I wanted to manage Axel Lennox, our buddy Vince Talbot. That's who I wanted to manage. I thought me and him could have a lot of fun. And I think everybody agreed, but at the time they were already working towards, they were having that best of 5 between Sean and Vinny match. Where Dave ended up turning on Sean and joining Vinny. So, that kind of put the kibosh on that. But, I mean, basically what happened was we were doing our first 3DW show, and we had 3 referees booked. I was still going to be doing security. I was still learning stuff.
Wait, so this is 3 referees. Are you the third one?
No, there were supposed to be
3 referees. Then there was you.
One of them didn't, or only one showed up.
Oh my god!
And he basically had to leave after the first half of the show.
Oh my gosh!
So Corey came over to me. Hey, brother, how do you think
we got a job for you?
Yeah, how do you think you'd handle refereeing tonight? I think I can do it. I watch wrestling. I pay attention to all aspects of it. I think I could do okay. And so they
is that what's really running? Is that what's really running through your mind at that point, or are you putting on a front? Like, are you a little nervous,
I was actually a little nervous.
Yeah,
it was weird, and even going into the next show where I knew I was going to be a referee, I was still nervous.
Oh yeah,
even though I had been training as a referee.
Yeah, and, I can relate to that. Yeah, not
so,
as a ref, but even as just a manager, right? It's pretty nerve wracking out there. I remember when I had a spot, I would always ask Corey, "Okay, when's the time? When's the time?" He's like, "Yo, just fuck off, just do it." I'm like, "When's the time?" He's like, "No, do it, you idiot!" And I would go do it. But like for you, a referee, if you're off your game, this entire match is off its game, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's you got to know what's going on. You got to listen. And I did my best. I obviously, the matches I did were the guys that I knew, the guys that I worked with at training, so I knew, a lot of the matches. So it was a lot easier. Like I said, going into the second show, I was a little more worried because I was like, all right, now I gotta, I'm going to be working with different people and, I got to work with, Xavier Fate, a guy we know, Tommy Brewington. Me and him became friends, and it was nice. I got to work with him, and everybody was real cool, was real helpful. But I mean, I did what was needed to be done for the best of the company, and at that point in time, it was being a referee.
Talk about your first match as a referee. Or your first event, maybe. You're in the middle of the ring, and I always explain to people when you're in the ring, it feels to me more like a suction, where like all the attention is on you, and it's weird because like no matter what angle around you, I mean, you just do a 360 and there's people around you.
Yeah.
When you get into that ring, are you like, oh shit, or do you just immediately feel comfortable? Because I've heard people immediately feel comfortable, and I've heard people go, oh shit. And for me, I go, oh shit, because I'm like, I don't like attention. I don't like all this. Like, this is crazy. Even if I'm an announcer, I like to be off camera. My voice is fine, but I'm sitting here in the middle of a ring. Did you feel any of that, or were you just hyped?
Both.
Yeah.
I was real hyped. I was so glad to be, just like I said, just to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. Never mattered what I was doing. It never did. It was always, doing what needed to be done to help the show go on. If that was standing around with the talent, whoever they brought in all night long, just being his right hand man, then that's what I did.
Yep.
Refereeing, whatever, ring announcing. I just popped up on my memories about a time I was out in Sydney with Jimmy Snuka, and LDC got a hold of me and said, "Hey man, we could use your help tonight, and we need a ring announcer. Do you think you could get out to Sydney?" And I obviously got out there, and I had a blast that night. But that's what it was. That's what I tried to do. I just tried to show that I was there to fill in whatever they needed.
Was that the transition from referee? Because I remember in 3DW, you were a referee. Did you do any? I can't remember. Man, this is so hard for me. I remember Ian was the announcer. Did you do any announcing at 3DW, or is that until ECPW?
No.
So you were strictly a referee in 3DW completely, 100%.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So then 3DW lasts what? 11 months? A year?
Yeah, almost a year.
Something like that. And,
almost a year, yeah.
Fred Spencer, who was a promoter who promoted 3DW, I think he had more than he knew what he had. I think he had a lot of talent that was local, that was willing to work, that were young and hungry. And I don't think he knew what to do with it so much. And it's not a knock on Fred. It's just he's a first time promoter. I remember when, I don't know if Keith got fired or if Keith left. I remember there being a dispute.
Yeah, there was a dispute.
And I remember Fred coming in and asking me, and he's like, "Oh man, this fucking Keith Zimmer guy, out of his fucking mind." And I'm just like, "Well, what happened?" And Corey would tell me like all the stuff that Keith was pitching. And I remember like Fred was about to like sell the company, and I had talked with him very, very minimally about maybe buying it. And he said, what's the first thing that you would do if you I think this was the end of me and Fred. He goes, "What's the first thing you would do if you bought this company?" I'd say, "I'd hire Keith Zimmer back. Thought he had a good set of rules, whatever, good stories, all this shit, good ideas." And I remember Fred just being like, and like that was kind of the last time I talked to Fred seriously, because he realized that I wasn't so much on his side. 3DW did leave eventually. It went on a long hiatus, and me and you left. And on October 7th, 8th of 2000, whatever, ECPW Showcase debuted at the American Legion. And talk a little bit about moving companies, because 3DW is ECPW is the company that you first start going to and being a fan of. It gets you into it. 3DW is where you cut your teeth, much like me. What were your thoughts about leaving 3DW? Was there any resentment? Was there any, should I do this because I started here? What were your thoughts when we all left?
The one thing you know about me is I'm a very loyal person. Mm-hmm. But it was easy, honestly. The decision was made for me. I really don't want to go into that. You know a lot about what was going on back then, and why it was an easy decision for me to say F you. I really don't care. At the end, me and Corey, it started really becoming closer and closer. The three of us actually started becoming closer and closer. We were driving out to his house and watching CZW John Moxley deathmatch stuff and things like that. And and so I mean we all were good friends, and but I mean it was easy. It was easier, but at the same time I didn't know what was going to happen. Switching companies. Am I still going to be a referee? Am I what's going to be my new position in this company? You made that quite clear on how you wanted it to go down when you contacted me and said, "Hey, I have an idea."
It's queer. What's really clear to me, the memory is calling you on that day.
Bubblegum for Glenn too, by the way. Sorry, just
hey, is that the Fago?
No, this is called Old Time Bubblegum.
Old Time Bubblegum. I remember calling you. I was in the Binghamton parking garage, and I had just gotten done talking to Keith, and I'd said, "So should I ask?" And he's like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." So then I called you, and I was sure you'd say no, because I was like, "Well, you're a referee. You're in the ring. You're right in the action. I don't know how closer to a ref or to the action you can be without being the action." He's going to say no. There's no chance of it. And then you're like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" And I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Yes, that's awesome." Because I remember picking you for a couple of reasons. One, I really liked you as a person. I connected with you immediately at the shows, and I just really dug you as a person. I remember me and you talking about playing Pee Wee hockey. And we connected through that. We connected through the road crew when I would help you every now and then. I did a fraction of what you guys did, but I would help pick up some shit like the chairs and shit and put it in the back of the trucks and stuff. We connected instantly, but I thought, man, this guy's going to be a pretty good commentator. I think I just feel it. And we rocked it, and we started to rock it. And that was an interesting thing. And that's why I asked about leaving, because when I left, I felt the same way. I said, what am I going to do? I know that the commentary position, for some stupid reason, is a pretty coveted position, because I know how many people ask me to do with me, right? So it's like, I don't want to lose that. But at the same time, I want to go where all my friends are going, because why the fuck am I staying here? I pissed off Ian. A lot of drama back then, but it cleared up. The skies cleared up, and all of a sudden, me and you are doing commentary, what seems like weekly, in a different town in Pennsylvania. Talk a little bit about the experience of jumping into the commentary booth, and your overall thoughts on that.
I was excited. That was always, again, one of the things I always thought I would do in wrestling. Never in a million years. I was a skinny kid growing up. I never in a million years thought I would have been a wrestler. Obviously I put on some weight throughout
Haven't
the
we
years.
all, my friend?
And, so, I never thought of being a wrestler. Manager and commentator were the two things I always thought maybe I could, get into. In high school, I always thought of maybe being a sports broadcaster, so that kind of, tied into it. And, at first, when you called me up and you were like, "Hey, come on outside. I want to talk to you for a minute." And, let's take a couple tokes off this and have a real heart to heart chat. And you did, like, you literally just sold me on it. You're like, "Dude, I think me and you could be great." And at the time, the thing that you and Ian had, I loved. I loved watching you guys when we were doing 3DW Monster. Especially when I was the referee for the match, because you always had some quick quip to say about me or something. You know what I mean? And I just always thought it was fun, and so I was excited about that. The ring announcing part. Again, me being me, it's how I can help the company. You remember there was one night in where was it? Strasbourg, where I was the referee, the announcer, the GM for the night.
I remember you had to walk like around the ring and then in, and you're like, I remember you being like, "There's nowhere else we can set up." And I'm like, "There's only one outlet in the whole building and we won't fit." And you're like, "Oh my God." You know what I love about this shit is, like, we're sitting here talking about this on a show, and like 11 years ago, I would never have thought I would have these memories. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, man, we could just fucking laugh about this stupid shit now, like, whereas at the time, we were like, "Oh my God, the show's not going to go on. Oh my God, we got to do this." Right. And we're like messing around with all this equipment. And oh my gosh, man, I loved having you as a broadcast partner. I loved sitting next to you. I loved your commentary. I thought me and you went off each other real well. And I loved you in the ring as a commentator, as an announcer. I did love that. And I didn't love the fact that the main event, and this isn't a knock on you, because it happens to everybody I've ever worked with. I worked in MAWA in Mid-Atlantic. I worked with Drew Templar, and he had the same thing happen to him. And I worked in PPW with Paul Bowe, and he had the same thing happen to him. Whereas in the main event, you're like, my voice is shot, bro. Like, and I'm like, I got it. Okay, no problem. I'll try to talk extra long because I've had the easy thing of just sitting here on my ass when you have to get up, go around the ring, go in, announce the announcers. And I've always been impressed with you and Paul both in terms of being able to handle both and juggle both positions at the same time. I remember we would be talking and you'd be like, 1, 2, 3. He got him. Oh my God, he got him. It's over. And then you go right to this. And I'm like, you didn't even take a breath. Yeah. And you didn't even take a breath. And I'm like, oh my God, is he going to breathe? Is he going to pass out? Am I going to need to know CPR? What is happening here? Right. You handled that super, super well, bro. You really did. And I really loved the commentary time that I had with you. What did we do? 5 years, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You were the longest one that I've ever had and will ever have as a commentary partner. And I'm happy to say that. We went to Stroudsburg. We went and filmed a Tuesday through Thursday that YouTube and Wiz Khalifa didn't like because Warner Brothers hit me with the copyright. And
listen, we got hit last year with a Warner Brothers copyright too for using I think it was Mike Myers. On one of our Halloween posters because we were having a match where Aaron was dressed up as Mike Myers and Rotmare was dressed up as Jason, and where they were going to have a match. Well, like literally, like the poster had been up for almost a month, and like 2 days before the event, I get this long email from Warner Brothers.
Jesus. Yeah, they don't like they are not fair use people. They are not copy. They protect their copyrights with a vengeance, dude. I was like, you took Tuesday through Thursday? Really?
Yeah.
Like I was really mad, Shit, dude. That was some shit.
It was a fun day.
It was dude, you had a time on that. So what we're talking about is the Tuesday through Thursday is we filmed our road trip that we went down to Wallington, New Jersey, and then we went over, I believe, to McAdoo, or was it Stroud's? Yep. I can't remember.
No, it was McAdoo. Yep.
And I'm like, hey, why don't we film this all? So we filmed the entire thing. We put it up on YouTube. It looks awesome. Wiz Khalifa is really, really uberly popular back then at this point, and I use a lot of Wiz Khalifa songs. And Warner hated that. So that's what we're talking about. That was a pretty cool time. But so talk a little bit about the experiences that you gained in ECPW. I mean, we were on the road a lot. Do you feel like one of your skills, either commentary or announcing, was coming along easier or more conveniently to you? Or do you think both were things you had to work at and get good at? Because I believe that you got good at both of them.
Well, like I said, I think the commentary was obviously easier to get used to. After a couple of years, I was told by quite a few guys that I was their favorite ring announcer, that they loved how I announced them to come to the ring. I thought that was great. I'd never really considered myself really, really good at it. But when it came time for people to say, hey, I need a ring announcer, can somebody suggest somebody? There was always a couple people out there. Hey, Jim Holbert, you available? Are you available? These people, and if I wasn't, I was hey, Paul, hey, Paul, you available? You know what I mean? And that's just how it was. A lot of people don't know that, Paul broke into the business with us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he was just starting to be the ring announcer in PA, and we were going out there to help them with the TV show. So all we know was, hey, like I don't have to ring announce. I get to focus mainly on commentary, and and we met Paul, and we both. I mean, I really can't speak for you. I fell in love with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great guy. Does so much. Does the football, does the basketball. He's the voice of PA sports. You know what I mean? But a lot of people didn't know that. We all kind of started together, and that's kind of what led into PPW as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, a lot of theories as to why I left Binghamton Wrestling. There was no drama at all for me. I really just wanted to work with Paul once or twice, and then I was going to get out of the business. I mean, swear on my life, that's what my plans were. And they still are now to this day. But just doing this show and reminiscing is good enough for me now. But yeah, you did real well, and we traveled a whole lot of miles. when you get into the business. I mean, I would love to know how many actually, but and then but you know, in my sick, twisted mind, what I would do is equate it to money and be like, God damn, I could have that much money. But you know what? Honestly, I would probably pay that. I would definitely pay that much money for these memories. And people that don't do this shit don't understand that. They're like, what? But I think when you're on the road, I mean, yeah, cool. If you're in a venue and everything's popping and the night is going really well, that's something fun. But what's really fun is when you get into the car afterwards and you get a couple people that mutually might like to partake. And you can sit here and talk shit about the show. Not shit about the show, but like, hey, this could have been better, or this went really good. I really love that. I really love the miles that me and you've packed on. I have easily drove the most miles with you, and a lot of people do know that, but some people don't. But me and you have traveled the most miles. I remember us traveling with Aaron Lineberry a couple times. What are some of the stories maybe that you can share, not about Aaron, maybe about Aaron, but just about wrestling in general? What are some of the stories you can share that maybe you like to tell people when you say, hey, I'm in wrestling, and they go, nuh-uh? Your first response is like, oh, let's tell a story quick. Like, what's the go-to one for you?
Well, now it's the Abyss story.
What a good night that was, huh?
Before that, it was the day we stopped at the Holbert. You dropped your phone down there. There was the GPS, and we needed.
God,
we needed the phone, and we pulled into the Holbert.
Oh God, yeah, the convenience store. And
the Litman Quick.
The Litman
That was one of the ones that we were on with Aaron. I believe that was a show that we said that Aaron stopped at a truck stop on his way to pick us up to get gas money. We don't know. No, we don't want to know what he did to get that gas money, but yes, we made it to the show.
That's all that mattered. That's all that meant. The Poconos are a pretty crazy place if you're at the right spots, dude. I will tell you that for sure. Man, oh man. So, okay. So we're in ECPW and we're doing commentary, and we go to a lot of venues. What's your favorite venue to do a show in? Maybe not as a promoter, because that might be a different answer. But as a performer, what's your favorite vibe that you get from any location that you've been at?
Well, obviously American Legion Post 80. I mean, that's where so much has taken place. It's always been a special place for anybody. The first Spike Norton show that we did. Oh, yeah. When I had Mad Dog Matt Cross literally look at me and say, "There's a presence here tonight. I can feel it."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just things like that, and just hearing that, like I teared up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Again, I'm a sensitive guy. I may seem like an asshole. I love playing the asshole role. Ask my kids. I'm the biggest jerk in the world if you ask them. But no, it things like that. Just hearing when he said that, it's just like it just resonated. And a lot of people felt that night as well.
Yeah, I haven't felt an atmosphere or a vibe like I did in the Elysian that night. It was a special night. It was a night, I think me and you nailed it on commentary. I still have it on commentary. Still have the audio files for that. I thought we did really good on commentary that night, and I thought that everybody just put out a hell of a show. Have you ever been to another show like that where it seemed like the wrestling, although was the main attraction of the night, it was almost like a sidebar to how everybody was mutually feeling? Do you know what I mean? Like, the Robert Spike Norton thing, the wrestling was for sure there. Yes, that's what was happening. We were watching wrestling, but it almost seemed like there was just this like aura or like bigger presence. Like Matt Cross said, there's a presence. There's a bigger meaning to why we're here. Have you ever felt like that before, or was that a one and only kind?
Yeah, I don't honestly, unless something like this ever happens again, and I hope it never does.
Right.
I mean, we did the shows for Glenn. Those meant a lot. But I mean, like I said, it's just everybody that was there that night kept saying that they feel a presence, they feel something there, and that's it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, I think. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it'd kind of be like a WrestleMania moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for us, you know what I mean? But no, I've never felt anything like that. But I love doing shows. We used to do the one of my cats wants to come say hi. We used to do one of the things on our podcast was we used to talk about the favorite places to eat at these venues. You know, and
yeah.
You know, so like obviously McAdoo was had a lot of food. The Strand. There was that what it's called, the McAdoo, the Strand. And,
yeah. The Strand.
And then the Big Wheel in Stroudsburg.
The Big Wheel, bro. The Big Wheel's got those hot pretzels, or at least they used to. That are like,
yeah, they
whoa,
still do.
bro.
We were just there in March. We still have them.
Yeah, I need to shit. I might go out just to get a pretzel. You know. No, that's cool, dude. So we're in ECPW. We're working, and we're getting towards the end of the ECPW run. What was, and I'm asking you this because I don't know, because after a little bit, I remember ECPW, there was a fight, a couple of people had a disagreement, and like people were going different ways, and I was like, okay, this is probably a time for me to see what I can do, you know. And I don't think I can do anything. I'm not trying to go to WWE or anything stupid like that. I just want to see what else is out there. So I went out. And I've seen that, and everybody else went different ways. Where did you go in that direction? In terms of like when ECPW left, was it immediately right to NTW, or was there a buffer time between that?
Well, that's actually when we decided to go to Excite.
Oh, okay. So you hit Excite for a little. Yeah, you did hit Excite for a little bit. Yeah. Talk about Johnny Moose and how he runs a show comparison to other companies. Is it chaotic? Because I've heard it's chaotic. I'll say it's chaotic.
It is pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
I've told him multiple times, and so hasn't Keith, that he needs help. You know what I mean? He tries to put everything on himself, and the same is to be said with a guy that we work with in Delaware, Sean Hardy. The guy literally tries to put everything on himself, and that leads to a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and I mean, that's why I'm thankful I have Keith and other people that I can say, hey, you take care of this. Hey, can you take care of this? Stuff like that. So I don't have everything on me. You know what I mean? And that's a big stress, but I mean, in the beginning, I mean, we had fun. I mean, we were working an angle with Luke Babcock. I was managing Luke against Keith and Corey. Towards the end of ECPW, though, I was helping more. That's when I was helping more on the backstage, stuff like Keith would be like, all right, these are the guys that's booked. These are the matches I got. Can you come up with matches for the rest of these people? And that's basically what I would, help out with doing. And I had a lot of fun doing that, but the big blowout point actually was the show that we did at my brother's bar in Kirkwood. And we all kind of had a big blowing out, and by the next morning we were all leaving ECPW again, and and it kind of sucked, and it was, things happen, in this business, it's why there's always a thing that says cards subject to change.
Right.
Because sometimes, we had somebody that was there that was supposed to wrestle, and he couldn't do it because of the way the ring was positioned, and he just, and I understood. What can we do? You know what I mean? And he was a Ring of Honor guy. You know what I mean? We got to be careful with things like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. I remember this. I remember this whole thing. And I will keep the anonymity for said person, but I do remember that moment of time. Yeah, that was that's the time I think I kind of like decided that I wanted to kind of go, because I was like, well, my future's not really in my own hands. I mean, we're just leaving, and although I agreed with leaving, I agreed with the reasoning that I was told why we were leaving. it still felt like to me like I need kind of more control over my destiny. That's kind of why I left. But I do remember great times in ECPW. I had some good fucking memories there, and most of them revolved around you, around Keith, around Corey. These were different times, I suppose, but very good times, and I had a lot of fucking fun in wrestling back then. You go to Excite. How did you leave Excite? Was there a blow off that I don't know about, or did you just decide, let's go to NTW?
Well, we had started working with NTW.
Okay.
John, Walter, Aaron, Big Aaron, Jeff Thomas, Matt Calamere, the Deaf Ref, and a couple other people had decided to put this company together. And I was obviously invited to the first show by Aaron. And after the show, they were having a meeting, and I was getting ready to walk out. And Aaron basically said, "No, I want Jim to be a big part of this company. I think he can help us." And it kind of took a while at first. That was the beginning, almost 4.5 years ago. That was the beginning of EV2, the group that me, Keith, and Corey started. We had. It was fun, I had a little bit of control on, what I was going to do. I did some commentary. You came out and helped out for a couple shows on commentary.
Oh yeah.
Out in White Sox where you called me screaming at me, "I can't find this effing place. I'm going to turn around and go home."
Oh my God, bro.
Like 2 minutes from the place.
I was ready to give up. And then I remember going out there, and the only reason I didn't come back is because that commentating guy that was like, I don't even remember. I know his name. I won't give his name.
David
if you want to tell it, that's fine.
I have nothing with David Keller at the beginning. Yeah, and I have no problem saying this. He was kind of dickish to us. Yeah. He was, like me and you were the ones that were brought out by Aaron and everybody to come out and basically solidify the commentators table.
Yeah.
And then this guy shows up. He's he's supposed to be the camera guy and has the stuff to do, has stuff to do commentary with, and basically just looked at us and like, all right, well, you two can switch in and out. And
oh yeah.
And
I was like, wait a minute, bud. You're 2 days in the business. I've eaten a lot of shit, and I've been a couple of years in the business. I'm not listening to this. That's literally the only reason I did not want to come back. I had a great time with the roster. I thought the roster was good. I thought the roster was very nice and easy to deal with. I thought the setup was good. So I come out and we solidify the commentary table, sort of. And how quickly does that work for you? Because I remember you saying Aaron wanted you to be a part of this, and you said it was a little slow burn. At what point did you start seeing things turn? At what point did you start seeing people go, oh, okay, you're going to be a part of the decision making here, and you're going to make an imprint on this company?
They started letting me book some talent. That's how it started. It took a few shows. I was working towards a program with Maddock, who eventually became our NTW champion. He spit water on me at the commentators table. And then, but I mean, we had a lot of people. Like we had Steven, we had KJ at the time. They wanted to do some commentary.
Yep.
And you know how it is. Everybody wants to come over and sit at the commentators table and run their mouth during a match.
It's true.
We had a lot of those people that would come. So I started gravitating more towards the back, more towards the guy that the people came to see for the match lineup and what was going on in their matches and stuff like that. I brought in Sam Adams and Lobo.
Good booking.
Styler Andrews. Brought them in. Brought in Johnny Moran. Guys I was meeting with you at PPW.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that, so I was, they're like, hey, man, I heard you kind of, booked for this other company. So yeah, man, I got them all down there. I paid them out of my own pocket. Cause at the time there was some stuff going on there, One of the main reasons why I ended up becoming part of ownership of NTW was to take care of some of these issues. Somebody was literally about to get beat by a former WWE guy. So we had to go to the bank and pull out some money, and and that's not the kind of person I wanted to be in this business. And that's I at that time kind of started shying away a little bit, from those guys, and more, like I said, our weekend trip to PPW was always I considered my getaway. So I always enjoyed that, and I at the time, there was Apex was just coming out, so I was helping those guys down there in Williamsport. So I was doing stuff, but it just got to the point where Aaron again came to me and said, we need you, we need you and Keith to take over and start booking the right people, start coming up with good stories. Because these guys were just throwing matches together.
Right. There was no continuity or anything from month to month or anything like that. Right?
No structure, nothing like that. It was okay. Well, this month Sean Carr's gonna wrestle this guy, and this month LDC is gonna wrestle this guy, and hey, and then we'll beat up Anarchy along the way. You know what I mean? And it just it was fun, but I mean it just wasn't the people that I felt that we benefited the company. There's a lot of people coming in who say, hey, I'll come in for free, or I'll come in for this amount of money. And then once the show's over, well, how about this? Or, they want, $20-$30 more, or, you know what I mean? And it's just like, there was a lot of guys that were doing that, and they were letting it happen.
Yeah. Getting held up at the show after the show for pricing. It's always fun. Yeah.
So it's just like, I got to the point where I'm like, look, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be my way or no way.
Yep.
And John Walter at the time, who was the owner, the license holder, everything, he was the one that said, hey, if you can help, then let's do this. And that was it. I from there took over, and I mean, John still helped, Aaron still helped, Seth Briggs just, still helped. They were the guys that were still there, that were ownership. But I mean, it just seemed to, I don't know, it just seemed to go uphill when I finally took over, because everybody saw what I was doing. I wasn't going to play they're like, oh, well, I know I said 20, but how about 40? Well, how about nothing then?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to be the guy that's going to play that game. And then we brought former ECW legend referee H.C. Loke into the company. We were bringing in Tom Brandy, two guys who have helped me immensely in wrestling with advice. H.C. Loke loves at shows when we're both not doing anything to sit me down and with the little, let me tell you something, brother, talk. And he's a really good guy. He's very forward. He'll tell you what he's thinking. And I really love the guy. Same with Tom Brandy. I mean, we've brought him in multiple times. And he's always got advice. We actually did a match. It was him versus LDC for the 607 belt in a hardcore match.
Yep.
And he basically, I'm running around doing all 1,000,001 things, and he looks at me and goes, Jim, brother, come here for a second. I'm like, hey, hey, what's up, Tom? What do you need? He's like, you're going to be a part of this match. Okay. What do you want me to do? Well, here's how it's going to go. And he laid out the whole match for me. And the match is on YouTube. If anybody wants to go watch it.
I've watched this match. Yep.
And I mean, I think I did okay.
Yeah.
He said I did good. I listened very well. But I had a blast. Never in a million years would I have thought I would have had a match like that with a WWE legend.
Yeah, when Salvatore Sincere tells you to do something, and a lot of people think, oh God, Scott's using the gimmick name because he's throwing shade. I love Sal Sincere.
Oh, I love Sal. I've even told him that multiple times. I said, I just want to book you one night as Salvatore Sincere.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'll be there. Seriously. That'd be fucking awesome. Oh my God, dude. That'd be great. Yeah. So, okay. So, the management and the structure changes at NTW a little when you come in. And there have been some influential people in your career in wrestling. I would dare say, two that we've talked about already, would be Corey, LDC, and Keith Zimmer. Talk to me about what these guys have meant to you and how they've made the transition from fan to security to ref to commentator to every single thing under the sun other than wrestle. Talk to me a little bit about how they've made that easier for
you. Just their support, honestly.
Yeah.
And the same with you as well. I say all the time that you three have been my biggest supporters throughout this whole crazy journey. And it's just always nice to know that I've got three guys that got my back. You know what I mean? And we've talked multiple times about, there's always those shady people. I've always been the guy that tries to like everybody. You know what I mean? Even if I don't, there's a few guys out there I just really don't care about, but I still work with them because that's the business. That's how it goes in this business.
Oh God, yeah.
That was always taught to me, was no matter how much you hate somebody, don't like somebody, if they're on the same show as you, just suck it up and shake their hand, and you ain't got to deal with them for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Right. And that's just how it is. But I've had over the past few years, I've gotten the chance to meet a lot more older wrestlers, and a lot of the guys, a lot of them obviously at PPW, guys like the Godfather, Jimmy Hart, Ron Simmons.
Abyss.
You know what I mean? Abyss.
What? He had a lot of advice for us that night. Unfortunately, go fuck yourself isn't one of the things that I want to do all the time. Go fuck yourself's a great thing to do. However, you can't do it all the time and be successful. So yeah,
it's but one of the things though too was one of the shows that we did at the Nice Lake Stadium with Excite.
Yep.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. was standing in the outfield watching the show.
Oh, how cool!
And I happened to be standing there, and I'm walking over by him, and he's like, "Hey, is this like a local promotion?" I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "Some pretty good stuff. I'm enjoying it." So I'm like, "Cool."
Wild,
I didn't even know who it was.
Yeah.
Until I'm watching the game and they say Vlad Guerrero Jr. stepped up and they throw his picture up there. I said, "No, that's the guy that said we enjoyed the show."
That's
like
really cool.
That are cool, exactly. Just little things like that are really cool. But no, like it's through over the past, especially the past, I'd say 4 years since going to PPW with you and NTW and things like that. I've gotten to meet so many people. I've gotten compliments from some people like Samu. He came in one day and he's like, "I really like what you got going on here." And this was one of my first shows where I'd actually just started taking over and doing more of the booking and the writing and stuff like that. And he had a blast. We've worked with Lance for years. Lance is still hitting us up all the time. "Hey brother, I'm on that show if you need me. I'll be there."
Talk a little bit about that. I mean, there's one thing to impress a fan who's buying a ticket and showing up and wants to see wrestling, right? But then you start to impress veterans who have been around the business for a while, and they start giving you compliments. That's kind of a different feeling, I would imagine, than say a fan coming up. It's a different level of respect in terms of, yes, you respect the fan, you respect everybody equally, but at the same time, there's something to be said about experience. And for PPW, in terms of us, when Jake Hager came in and was like, "I love what you guys are doing. You guys are top-notch company." I mean, all of us felt like, wow. I mean, it's a different feeling, right? I mean, impressing somebody who's been around for a little bit.
Yeah, it really is, and especially somebody who's been around like as long as Samu has.
Yeah.
Lanny Poffo, when we brought him in, he was great. Said he had a blast. And everybody who comes in and works with us just has a lot of fun. And and like I said, over the past 9 years at least that we've been using Lance, he's always there. He's always hey brothers, whenever you need me, I'll be there. Just let me know. Give me a date, and I'm there. You know what I mean? And that's cool because you know me. That's that Anawai family is my holy grail family of wrestling, and I've gotten to meet a lot of them recently. I just met Lloyd, LA Smooth. I just recently met him. Real good. I talked to him a lot on Facebook. Alpha Junior worked tons with him. You know, Lance, Cepha, I just worked with him. Jacob, we get to hang out with him when we work MLW. So that's always nice.
Yep.
You know, so I've gotten to meet a lot of that family, and you know, it's really cool. You know, and you know, we brought in Trevor Murdoch right before the pandemic. He had a blast.
Yeah. I love Trevor Murdoch. I'm a big fan of Trevor Murdoch, honestly. Yeah,
such a great guy. Yeah, we did a little partaking.
Now I hate you. Now I hate you. Right?
But then, no, you know, and he was like, you know, brother, anytime you need me back, I already got that money saved up. You know, the pandemic, that's one thing that did help me was I was able to save up some money. So whenever, like you said, whenever I'm ready to do that show that says that we're back, it's going to be with, I'm sure, with Trevor Murdoch. I've also been talking about some other guys too, you know, so. You know, a lot of NWA guys right now that I like.
Well, I mean, you know, you don't have to throw a show that says you're. I mean, I don't think you ever left. I mean, yeah, you had to leave for a couple months, right? But you, in my timeline of Facebook, and we both know isn't updated everybody as quick as everybody else's. But in my timeline of Facebook, I seen you guys and you guys only, and you guys were rocking it, and you're handling it with class and. I really was proud of you for that moment, even though at some points I'm like, should you be doing this? But then nobody got sick. You know what I mean? And numbers, people, I can have my opinion. People can have their opinions. Numbers will always tell you the truth, right? And so far, so good. You guys handled it perfectly. One thing I do want to talk to you about is your experience working with JEFF, JARRETT. You brought him to a convention. Talk to me a little bit about working with Jeff Jarrett and spending the day with him.
Well, I've spent multiple days with him before. I actually first met him a long time ago when he was back as part of the NWO with WCW. Met him very briefly. That was back when I was, you know, working security at the Holiday Inn, where the wrestlers would go after the shows.
Oh, yes.
You know, so, you know, I got to meet a few wrestlers there. Then we went and met him at a GFW show that he did out in Harrisburg. He was trying to set up places to do joint shows with. Kind of like we did with Impact. You know, you did with Impact with PPW, and we did with Excite as well.
Yep.
You know, so we were looking to do something like that, and so we went out to the stadium, hung out with him, went and got him and Kevin Nash some alcohol, smoked a little herbage with Snitsky.
I've done that too.
And
that's ridiculous.
He actually remembered us. The funny thing was, we did a show in Endicott where he did the whole against Marty Jannetty, where he did the whole "it's not my fault, kick the baby" thing. And he remembered us from that. Hey, you guys were in that Endicott place, I think it was, when I wrestled Marty. And we were like, yep. He's like, I had a blast, but you know. But I mean, yeah, we had a fun night. And then, you know, and Doc Frank really put us on the map with Jeff and Sanjay because he literally pushed Chris Masters out of the way to come say hi to me, Corey, and swear to God, it happened. It was the most hilarious. Like literally, Chris Masters puts his hand out to say hi to Doc Frank. Doc Frank sees us standing behind Chris Masters and literally pushes him out of the way, comes over, gives us all hugs, looks at Sanjay and Jeff and said, "These guys are some good guys." And I honestly, I think that's what helped us get Jeff for Icons.
Doc Frank to the rescue. That's hilarious, honestly. Because
if anybody doesn't know who Doc Frank is the doctor that took care of Mick Foley and the Hell in the Cell.
I love Doc Frank. He doesn't look like a doctor to me. That's what
he looks like a hippie.
He really does.
Hippie.
He does. And a lot of people be like, go stop shitting on Frank. Dude, who's shitting on him, dude? I'd go to him. He just looks a little weird.
Yeah.
Great, though. Fuck it. I want my doctor to look like that. I don't want him to look like he just pulled out of his port because I just paid him all this money. Right.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, no, Doc Frank, definitely a huge part of PA wrestling. But yeah, the Jeff Jarrett thing is crazy. I remember you telling me that you were gonna work with him. And I remember you telling me that you were gonna bring him to the convention and do a couple bookings with him and stuff like that. And I was really happy for you. I was like, God damn, Jeff Jarrett, what a good get there, you know? So NTW, when is the next show? What is your future plans here going forward into 2021 and 2022? Are there anything that you would like to check off your list? Is it just about getting back to normal right now and getting into a routine, or what are the future plans here for the promotion as far as you see it? And I know it's an unfair question because you just got the promoter license and you've got them, and I know you've been at the helm for a while, but what's the future looking like for you guys?
Yeah, the promoter thing is definitely different because now that I'm the one that turns in all the paperwork, got to remember what day it is, because it's got to be turned in by a certain day, stuff like that. And then stuff's got to be turned in after the show within a certain amount of time. So those are the things I have to remember and think about now. Our next show is this Saturday, May 22nd, Liberty Rising 2. We're going back to Williamsport, a place where we've all had some fond memories, whether it be at the A1 Wheels and Deals or in Montgomery, or one of the many other places we've wrestled there in Williamsport. But yeah, we got a big show. A lot of guys returning from Apex. Apex is coming back from a 2-year hiatus.
Yeah, I seen that. Nice.
Yep. So they're coming back. We have another company called Slobberknocker Wrestling. We're trying to help them get up off the ground. That's kind of my goal for the rest of this year is to try to help some of these up and coming companies, get off their feet, help them in whatever ways I can. I actually just helped Slobberknocker get a ring. They were looking for a ring. I happen to know somebody who was interested in getting rid of one, and 2 days later it was sold. So I mean,
done.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way I want to be. I'm always going to stay helpful. That's always going to be me. You know what I mean? But as far as doing my own thing when it comes to NTW, it's like I said, it's either my way or the highway. And if you don't like it, there's the door. And
it has to be that way.
And I think everybody now, especially through this pandemic, that has stuck with us. A lot of guys, have really been so grateful, like I said, to donate their time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, like I said, some of them driving 2, 3, 4 hours each way just to do so really means a lot.
Sure.
And I can't thank all of them enough. And, I've done, try to do some creative stuff over the last couple months as far as the shows go. Give some people some opportunities. Guys like Blue and Gold, Andy Hatter, Matt Turner, they've been very helpful.
Sure.
Diamond Hat and Brad, have been very helpful. Jay Flyer from Rochester has really stepped up for us and really helped out with working with some of the younger guys. So it's been great. We got a lot of young talent coming up. There's a kid, Seymour Green, right now. Very, very talented kid, trained by the Cash Masters and Aaron Anthony down in True. Works a lot at the Sanctuary. We have another kid. His name is Squid Sterling. He is our current 607 champion. He outsmarted LDC in a match. We got Skylar Kincaid, who, if anybody doesn't know who he is the brother of Ace Austin.
Okay.
If anybody didn't see that in Scranton, beginning of the year when I paid Ace to turn on his own brother, that was a fun time. It was right. Actually, it was right before he went back to Impact and won the X Division Championship again. So that was a good little thing. His mom did not like me. She wanted to shank me at the local sheet.
And that's a shoot.
And that's a shoot. I am not lying. I asked Skylar actually at the last show how long it took her 4 days before she talked to either Skylar or Ace after that show.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess we put on a hell of a thing. She knew nothing about it, and it was great, But and that's the thing is, going around and finding these guys, these new young talents is great. There's another kid. He's been around for a little bit. Mad Dog, Chris Mad Dog, I think Davis. Another guy from Rochester. Very, very talented kid. Sky's the limit. Of course, we got the guys like Born to Wrestle. Those guys love to have fun.
Yep.
Shoot some great promos. They'll make you laugh. It's just been fun. Like I said, to have the back of these guys, for these guys to have our backs throughout this whole thing is just outstanding, and I can't thank them all enough. I think Eric hit me up last night and said, "Brother, I'm a little hurt, and I don't think I can work this Saturday. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Brother, ain't nothing to be sorry about."
Right.
You know what I mean? You're at every show.
You've been there before, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset in the slightest, but
right.
It's just nice to know that a lot of these people have our back and have had our back throughout this whole COVID thing.
It's interesting. I thought that in terms of Northeast PA, what I really kind of pay attention to, and in Southern New York, I guess, you really held it down in terms of during the pandemic. There were always shows. It was you. I know Frog Sport. Or Leapfrog, I shall say, was running as well, doing a little bit of a different take on things where they weren't bringing in fans and just going exclusively on the streaming. You guys were doing fans, and what was it like what was the lowest number that you guys were allowed to have? What, like, maximum capacity? Was it like 25 or something?
That was in the beginning. Yeah, that's when we weren't doing the shows.
Right.
When they told us 60, that's when we decided we would do the shows. And
that was my question.
But yeah, when it was just 20, 25, no, we weren't doing anything. That we were doing like I said, we were doing the outside shows, which we were allowed to have like 100 people at. Now I believe we can have outdoor shows of up to 250. Mm-hmm. I believe it's going up again here at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's and we were told we were told 200 for this Saturday at the Liberty Arena. So that that's nice.
Isn't it crazy though? Like the Pittsburgh Penguins just had a playoff game last night with like 16,000 people there inside the PP&G Arena. You know what I mean? It's coming back, and this summer I think we'll be at full capacity again, and we'll be rocking and rolling. And I hope that everybody stays safe, but I hope that everybody gets out to pro wrestling, because a lot of companies have been on hiatus. A lot of companies have been doing what you've been doing, which may be more admirable, which is going into a show with a capped number of attendance and trying to make money. And a lot of these people that come to shows, that buy tickets, that tell you, book John Cena.
Yeah.
Don't understand how hard it is to make money. And I think it's very admirable that you guys continue to do shows, that you continue to get help from talent in terms of financial help, in terms of, hey, man, I'll just come in and work, because they know also that, and it's not a knock on you. It's not a knock on anybody. If you're capped at a certain amount of people, you're only going to make a certain amount of money. You know what I mean? And a lot of companies shied away from that. We had to, PPW had to shy away from that because of where we were in a school. So it was a little different, but a lot of people shied away from that. You didn't. Thought that was really cool that you guys did that.
But it's like you said, it's hard because you got to we still got to pay the venue. We still got to pay the dock. We still have to pay the taxes, whatever else, we got to transport a ring, whatever. There's still things we got to pay for.
And it's not like the building's like, we'll just take half.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not going to say, oh, well, hey, I know we said 600, but just give us 300 will be you. No, their hands out for that $600.
Right, because they
And,
need it too.
and that's one
Yeah.
of the things that we tried to stay away from was buildings where we were getting overcharged. You know what I mean? So we were trying to do like outdoor shows where like, hey, we'll give you $100 if you let us use this slab of lawn right here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or things like that. And but we've been hit up by some fire stations that are have like a big entryway or a big yard or something like that we could set up a ring in, and things like that. So there are some people out there that are willing to help us out, but thankfully it's getting warmer out, so we can do more outdoor shows and things like that. But I think by the time we're back to really just exclusively doing indoor shows at the end of the year, I think everything should be pretty close to back to normal, if not back to normal.
I share that opinion. I do. I think that everything will be back to normal by the end of the summer, if not before that. You're starting to see concerts come back. You're starting to see, baseball games be well attended now. And you're starting to see numbers that, if you're outside, your chance of getting infected go way down. And, you're starting to see numbers like that, and you're starting to see people get back. So I'm happy. I'm happy for you as your friend, as your former partner of commentary, as the other person occupying the Red Roof Inn. I'm really happy for you, bro. Like I really am. You've always been a very good friend to me. I legitimately have love for you, and I don't have a lot of love for people in wrestling. They say if you've either made a lot of money, or you come out with like 3 friends or something, it's success, right? You're on that 3-friend list. I feel like I've been successful in wrestling, and I feel like I've made a lot of cool people like you in wrestling. And I think I've always told you that I think your mind, until now, when you're finally starting to get credit for it all, has been extremely undervalued. And I really think that you can do this real well, and I see you doing this real well. So I'm really proud of you. In terms of how far you've taken this for this fucking thing, man, and I know you can keep doing it. So I hope you continue to rock this shit, man. And we will have another one of these.
That's what I'm saying. We could still fill up like 3 more episodes just on on stuff that me and you alone have done together in this business. All the places we've been to, the Abyss story.
There does have to be a second one of these, because we do. I mean, it's just in my head. I see this ticker going off in like 5 minutes. It's like, okay, that's a show, and it's like, well, fuck, I didn't even talk about this, or I didn't talk about that. So
yeah. We didn't get to talk about the taco truck, and we didn't get to talk about.
God, I know. What a good set of series of memories for me, for real. And I have to say, without being too corny, you're involved in a lot of those fucking memories. So, when I told Alex I wanted to do this show, he's like, just record you talking to friends and stuff, and like I'll just I'll put it up and we'll have it a show. Okay, cool. I'm like, I'm just gonna talk to people that really, really fucking mean a lot to me in wrestling and have helped me out a lot. And Jesus, I don't know how you've gotten to the 5th episode. I think it was more our schedules not lining up and my internet doing well.
Your internet being crap out at your house, and when you were in town, I was busy, and it just it just didn't work out. And we message each other all the time, like, hey, what's going on? Like I still got to get up and come back up to the farm again. And
yeah, come on. I'd love to take a picture of Jimmy Holbert driving a tractor. It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing, dude. Everybody else, when they first saw me on the tractor, they're like, this isn't fucking real. I'm like, what are you doing, you idiot? And I'm like, I don't know, but we're gonna try. Dude, you're always welcome to come out to my house and into my farm. Again, not an extension that I give to everybody I meet in wrestling. However, for you, for sure, anytime you fucking want to come out, more than welcome to, dude. A lot of people don't know, when you get into wrestling, you meet really good friends, and sometimes you keep those friends for a very fucking long time. And sometimes you're very fortunate to call these friends your very good friends. And I feel that way about you. And I'm really happy that me and you met through all this bullshit. And I'm really happy that we went through the bullshit that we went through in this shit, because it really, dude, in a couple of years, we're going to just be like sitting and passing some stuff to each other and just talking about how Abyss went nuts on us one day. And people are going to look at us and go, what? And no, I'm like, yeah, dude, Dude wanted to kill me, wanted to kill Tyler, wanted to kill Jim, was
Well,
about to kill everybody.
Tyler was ready to bounce on him. Remember, if he would have said one more word, I was gonna quit.
You know what's crazy is that kid. I think he probably would have, and then it would have just made it worse. Because he doesn't. He has more guts than brains, and I tell him that all the time. And I really think he would have said something. And I'm like, I'm thinking. Thank you, God, you did. I just remember driving, being like, "Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Yeah, sorry, sir." Oh my God, dude, what a good fucking. That's why we need another one of these, and we will get another one of these. But
definitely,
Jim,
anytime.
thank you, buddy. I fucking love you, dude. I really do, and I'm really happy that you came on this show here, and we could just shoot the shit for a little bit.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. I love you too, man. Like you said, you definitely have been a guy that's been there for me through a lot of the stuff I've gone through. Not just in wrestling, but in life. Over the past, almost 11 years.
Isn't it crazy?
That we've been doing this, and this was just something I wanted to do. Like I said, just to have some fun. And I never thought that I would be an owner, a promoter, sure, it was a dream a long time ago to maybe own my own company, and put out a product next to WWE, and but I'm not that rich. I'm not.
Who the fuck is, right? When the owner of the Jaguars can't get enough money together, I know I can't. So like I said, loyal fucking dude, Jim Holbert. Thank you for everything.
Thanks,
seriously.